Good evening, listeners, and welcome to Sinister Radio. Tonight's story isn't your ordinary campfire story. No, this one creeps closer to the real evil among humankind. What if the monsters we all fear aren't hiding in the dark, but walking among us and hides behind the face of a human? Serial killers aren't just creations of horror tales, they are the real monsters that exists in this world. Throughout history, the world has known a lot of evil figures. Their crimes scar entire communities, leaving behind questions that echo for years. And the truth is, not all of the cases are ever brought to justice. Tonight's story is inspired by the scary reality of serial killers. We call this story, The Poem Killer. So dim the lights, settle in, and let the darkness in. The city of Graymore was caught in a stranglehold of fear. By day, life went on as usual. People went to work, children went to school, shops opened, and the hum of traffic filled the streets. But as soon as the sun dipped below the horizon, a silence would descend. Because of what the darkness might bring. A young woman named Ella Morrison was reported missing by her family. She was found a week later. Her body abandoned in the woods, arranged in a chilling pose, arms stretched outward, as if reaching for something beyond the trees. Carved into her back was cut and burn marks with the word, "Scream," and in her mouth a small, crumpled plastic bag containing a piece of paper with a poem written on it. "Scream for me, your voice untamed, a symphony of fear, framed. Each piercing note, so sharp and clear, a melody that thrills my ear. The tremor in your throat, divine. A chilling cadence, wholly mine. Each scream, a verse of sweet delight, a chorus ringing through the night. Don't hold back, let your screams soar, then I'll crave your silence even more. Your shrieks ascend, a twisted song, a harmony where pain belongs. Oh, how your cries enrapture me, a masterpiece of agony. Scream, until you tire, and I'll compose in blood and fire." The police in Graymore had never experienced this kind of evil and unhuman behavior. Within weeks, more bodies started to appear. Each murder scene was meticulously staged, with a single word cut into the flesh of the victim. The newspapers called him the Poem Killer, a human figure who remained unknown and slipped past the investigation every time. Taking men and women alike, leaving behind only brutal scenes and sinister poets about the victim's last moment. For months, the police scrambled to connect the dots, trying to figure out who this elusive killer was. But he was a phantom, like a shadow that disappeared without a trace. No fingerprints, no DNA, no witnesses. Soon enough, a pattern emerged, but it was chillingly inconsistent. Men, women, students, adults, no one fit a single profile. The killer was random, ruthless, and untraceable. The murders spanned the city and crept into the countryside not far from Graymore. Police officers, journalists, and detectives worked day and night. Every time they thought they were close, he was already 2 steps ahead, as if he knew exactly what they were thinking, almost mocking them with his precision. Officers reported strange phone calls, and waking up by the sound of the front door creaking open in the dark hours at night and early morning. They all had the feeling of someone had been watching them through the windows in their homes. The police were stretched thin, unable to predict where and when he would strike again. Each discovery was worse than the last. The killer left bodies posed in grotesque scenes, faces contorted in terror, with single-word inscriptions cut into their skin and a handwritten poem. It was as if he wanted the police to know how the victim's last moments looked like and how the killer felt before killing them. Then, one autumn night, a letter arrived at the police station, addressed to Detective Selena Quinn, who'd taken the lead on the case. The letter was folded neatly inside an envelope, with no return address, written in elegant cursive. "Detective Quinn, I see you've been following my work. Do you enjoy my little poems? You and I, we're not so different. We both like to chase and thrive in the thrill of the hunt. Perhaps you'd like a closer look next time. And maybe then, you will find the answers you seek. I will be waiting. Have a good hunt, sweet detective." The letter was signed with the same symbol found at the scene of each crime, a heart. The message shook Selena to her core. But she pushed the fear aside and focused on tracking down this sick individual. Days turned to weeks and the killer's twisted game continued. Another body was found in the subway tunnel. It was a journalist that had big interest in catching the poem killer. The word begging was scratched into her skin. And like the others, a poem in her mouth. Beg, through the choking night, her begging drowns in the weight of fright. Whisper soft, her trembling plea, but mercy's chains won't set her free. Beg harder, beg louder, it feeds my fire, a requiem for her last desire. Her tears, they glisten, sweet and vain, a lovely symphony of pain. Her voice, a thread that frays too thin, her hands are bound, her eyes grow dim. No savior comes, no hope, no light, mercy dies in my hands tonight. In the days passing, Detective Selena barely slept, her eyes always scanning the streets, her mind constantly racing. Replaying each scene, each letter, each twisted phrase. But no matter how much she dug, the killer slipped through her fingers like smoke. Then, one rainy night, another letter arrived. But this time it was at her home, slipped under her door while Selena and her wife watched TV. Before going to bed, she went to double-check that the door was locked. Then she saw it, laying there, soaked through, but still legible. The letter said, "How close do you think you are, sweet detective? Did you think I'd let you catch me so easily? I've been closer to you for weeks, closer than you could ever dream of. What a beautiful wife you have, it would be a shame if something bad happened to her. So if I were you, I would be more careful where I tread. You never know who might be watching. And keep the lights on, you never know what might be lurking in the darkness." And then the symbol of a heart. Selena's hands trembled as she read it. She scanned the room, the feeling of eyes on her pressing in. She rushed to her windows looking out at the street. Double-checked every lock, then sat by the door, breathing shallow and quick. Whoever this killer was, he had been too close. She didn't feel safe anymore. The days after she got that letter, she felt his presence everywhere, in the flicker of lights on her street, in the slight creak of her apartment floors, in the breeze that rattled her windows at night. Another message was sent to the police station, a package containing a VHS tape inside, labeled, "Sweet Detective." The video was grainy, and the scene appeared to be a dimly lit room, walls marked with scratches and old movie posters. There was a young man sitting in a chair, his face frozen in horror. Even though the video was grainy, she could see that the young man was crying, his tears running down his face. A haunting lullaby played in the background, softly distorted. Then, slowly, a figure came into view, the killer himself, though his face was hidden behind a mask. He moved toward the camera, his hollow eyes barely visible through the mask. With a happy voice he said, "Now it's time for a little poem reading. Are you ready?" The sound of his voice sent a chill down Selena's spine. Drip, drip, so soft, so frail, a melody of sorrow, pale. Each sob, a quiver, raw and bare. A song that hangs upon the air. Your weeping pools, a fragile stream, feeding shadows, stoking dreams. Cry louder now, let anguish flow, your tears, the ink of tales I'll sow. But hush, for the sound of silence is nears, and I'll collect your final tears. Each gasp, each hiccup, sweet despair, a choir sung to none who care. Then Selena heard a distorted humming that filled the silence. The killer was humming to the lullaby that played in the background, a chilling, tuneless melody that sounded haunting and broken. While humming he walked in circles and then stopped and looked directly into the camera and slowly began to take off his mask. Before he revealed his face the video cut to black. But the screen's last frame stayed burned into Selena's mind. The killer's big smile. Then Selena knew that he would never stop the games he played unless she caught him. That his games was as much about her as it was about his victims. The thrill of him being the hunted. Thank you for listening and for joining us on tonight's journey into the horrifying mind of monsters in human form. Even as we end tonight's story, countless others are lurking in the shadows, waiting to be told, so join us again, if you dare, when we return with more stories to keep you awake. Until then, sleep tight and sweet dreams, and try not to let the darkness creep in. We'll be waiting for you till next time, right here on Sinister Radio.